So I welcome you all in this demo session of course Python to AI/ML projects. I am lead trainer at Atrix Technologies, Dr. Rizwan Alam. I have certifications for AI/ML from IIT Chennai and NILIT Chennai, and I have experience of teaching various students of different colleges and universities of different courses like BCA and BTech Computer Science. Including I have experience of teaching students of BTech final year and especially regarding their AI/ML project at IIT Goa. I was also associated with spoken tutorial project of IIT Bombay, and I was also associated with NCERT Bhopal for development of junior software development book that has been actually designed for class 11th and 12th. And this is my email ID and contact number, so you may contact me for further details. Next, let me go to the slide that what we are going to cover in today's session actually. So this session we will be dedicating to the concept of functions in Python programming. So if you have some exposure to any programming language like C or C++, so you will be knowing that function is an important structure in any programming language. So just let me know that are you aware with the concept of functions, whether in C or C++, that is not an issue. But if you have studied the concept of functions in any programming language, then you can write yes, otherwise no. Okay, so I am expecting some responses in chat box quickly. So can you write yes or no, that are you familiar with this concept of functions? Ishita, yes. Okay. So in chat box you can write directly yes or no. Wealthy mindset, yes. Okay. So through your responses actually I will be getting that you are properly getting all my points and you are responding also. Ridhima, yes. Okay. Ajit Kumar, yes. So I'm looking for few more responses. I think more than 15 participants are here. Aditya, yes. Okay, great. So just let me go to the slides that from few responses as I got that you are familiar with the concept of functions. Okay, so that we will be covering, but our focus will be especially that in Python programming, how we can define functions, how we can write functions, and how we can write complete code for user defined function. And of course there are some built-in functions in Python programming. So what is the syntax and how we can use those built-in functions for a specific purpose. So let me start with the basic introductory idea of function, as a few of you actually responded that you already have studied about the functions and you have basic idea of functions. So function can be defined as a named group of instructions that accomplish a specific task when it is invoked. So in very simple words, let me tell you that if you have a specific task and you want to write some specific block of code for that. Why we want to write as a specific block of code as function? Because it may be possible that we will be requiring to execute those block of code again and again many times, okay, but for different values. Because if you will tell that, sir, if you want to repeat these execution of these statements, then simply use it in loops that we have studied in yesterday's session. But here actually we want to execute those statements for some specific task, but with different values it will be handling. For example, if you are going to write code for adding two numbers, but it may be possible first time you want to add two numbers like 2 3, second time 10 5. So you are going to change the values also as input values that you want to use. So for that specific purpose, if you want to uh, write the code specifically, then we in general use functions. So functions, we can say that a group of instructions, but that will be used for a specific task. Okay, whenever it will be invoked. Invoked means it will be called. Okay. So once defined, a function can be called repeatedly from different places of the program without writing all the codes of that function every time. So let me tell you in simple words, it will provide you the facility of reusability. Reusability of code means you will be writing code once and you will be actually using that code more than once. Okay, whenever you need to execute those things, so simply you will be actually calling that function. So writing the code for a function once, but you can execute it, you can use it whenever you will be calling that function. So by simply writing the name of the function. So how we can call a function? By simply writing the name of the function and passing the required parameters. Required parameter means if you are writing a function for adding two numbers, then those two numbers you have to provide as parameter. Okay. So the programmer can define as many functions as desired while writing the code. So there is no restriction regarding the number of functions. You can write as many functions as required for your code. Okay, so these are the basic things overview wise that you should know about function. Next, let me go to the things that we can say are advantages of function. So it increases readability. So if you are going to write your complete program with the help of functions, so of course for your program will be more readable, because it may be possible that after some time your program will be handled by some other programmer, or your code is going to be read by some other programmer. So it will be actually properly readable for those other programmers, because you will be knowing all the things about your program, but others also need to understand. So it will be organized and easy to understand. Okay, so it will simply, in one word, you can say it will enhance the readability of your program. Then reduces the code length. Of course, if you are writing code of the function once, and whenever you need, you are going to call, so calling will be only one line code. Okay, for calling a function you need only one line code. So that will actually reduce the code length of your whole program. Okay, so that is another advantage. Next thing, as I told you, that it will enhance the feature of reusability, as function can be called from another function or another program also. So thus we can reuse or build upon already defined functions and avoid repetitions of writing the same piece of code. So we don't need to write the code that we have already written for functions, simply we have to call. So of course it will actually provide the facility of reusability. Then work can be easily divided among team members and completed in parallel. As you know that in comprehensive projects, actually there will be a team of members who will be developing that complete project. So if you have already divided the functions, then you can actually distribute those functions to write code for those functions to different team members. Okay, so they will be simply writing code for that function, and then finally you can combine, you can integrate, okay, all those functions. So you can actually complete that part of those functions in parallel. Okay, so of course that will be enhance the enhance the issues related to timing, that you will be able to complete it as a team and in parallel. Okay, so these are the advantages of function. So that's why functions are very important. Let me tell you that whether it is C, C++, Java, Mojo, or even Golang, or even we have this, we are discussing about Python programming language. So function is a very important concept. So just let me tell you that in Python we have two types of broadly we can say that we have two types of functions. First one is user defined and second one is built-in function. So user defined means you are going to write the code for that function yourself. Okay, so you will be providing a name to that function, argument and parameters to those functions, and the complete code or definition of that function also. But in built-in functions, those code for those functions have been already actually written, and you will be using directly those functions. You don't need to write the implementation part of those functions. Simply you can call those functions and you can use. So first we will start our discussion with user defined functions. So of course, let me tell you that for user defined function, there is a keyword def, def, short for define. So here actually you want to define a function. Okay, so we will be using this keyword in Python def, def. After that we will write the name of the function. So you can see name of the function. Then within parentheses we will write the parameters, like if you are want to write the code for adding two numbers, so number 1, number 2. Okay, so all those things you will be writing. After parenthesis, closing that parenthesis, you have to provide colon. Okay, you have to write colon. After colon, in next line, after some indentation, you will be writing the complete code for that function. Okay, then if there is some return value, that also you will write, otherwise you may skip. So this will be the basic structure of a function, or we can say user defined function. So the first line in which we write def, then function name, then parameters within parentheses, and then colon, that we know as function header. Okay, and whatever you are writing as the implementation or body part of the function, that we know as function body. Okay, but you have to take care that proper indentation you have to follow for all the statements that you want to write for that function. For example, 3 lines if you are going to write for that function, so those 3 lines will be at the same indentation. So that will specify that these 3 lines are associated with this function. So we can define our own functions in this way while writing a program. Such functions are called user defined functions. Thus a function defined to achieve some task. Of course, that is the basic objective of the function, that we want to accomplish a specific task, some particular task. Then only we are going to write a function, or we are going to define a function. Okay, so this will be the syntax for creating a user defined function. As I told you, that def, the name of the function. So name will be simply just like identifier, like you are going to give a name to a variable. Similarly, you can give a name to a function. For example, if you are going to write function for adding two numbers, so add num or add, this type of name you have to provide for user defined function. After def is a keyword for define. Then within parentheses you will be writing all arguments with separated by commas, then colon. Then after that your statement, if there is some return value, but proper indentation you have to maintain. So this is the basic structure or syntax of defining a user defined function in Python programming especially. So let me tell you again that items closed in square bracket are called parameters, and they are optional. Hence a function may or may not have parameters. Also a function may not have a return value. So this is optional, that parameters, if you don't have parameters, you can leave it blank, or return, if you don't want to return any value, so you can skip that return statement also. So function header always ends with colon. So let me go to the previous slide, that this is the function header. It means first line of your function definition. So that should be ended with the colon. That you have to take care. Otherwise you will be getting an error. Function name should be unique. So that we have to keep in mind, that the name that you are going to write for function, that should be unique. And there are some rules for identifiers that also applies for function naming, like you can't start with a digit, you should start with a letter or underscore. So those rules that we will be discussing, so that you have to follow. The statements outside the function indentation are not considered as part of the function. So whenever you want to write a statement for that function, then indentation, that proper same indentation you have to follow for all the statements that you want to write within the function. Okay, so these are the basic rules that you have to take care. Next we will start with a very simple basic program in which we will writing a user defined function to add two numbers and display their sum. So that is the simplest program we can say we are going to discuss, in which we will be defining with def, then add num, it means name of the function. Then if you want to provide those two numbers, that's fine, otherwise you can make it blank, leave it blank, and then colon, then fnum. So fnum will be a variable that will be storing that first number that user will be entering through keyboard. So int input enter first number. So enter first number will be displayed on your screen. Whatever you will input, that will be converted to integer and it will be stored to fnum. Similarly, we will do for snum, it means second number. Enter second number, that will be displayed on the screen, and that input will be taken by the key from the keyboard, and that value will be converted to an integer, because from input function, if you are whatever you are going to input, that will be treated as a string. So you need to convert it first to integer if you want to store it as integer. Then snum will be holding that integer value. Then in sum, then sum is a variable that will be holding what? Fnum plus snum. So in sum, you are going to add and store, then print function you are actually using the sum of fnum and snum is sum. So sum means the value of sum, this variable sum. So this will be the body part of the function add num. So this will be the complete definition, implementation of this function. Then for function call, so after hash if you are writing, it means it is a comment line that here we are actually going to call that function. So simply you have to write the name of the function and brackets you have to use. If some parameters that you have to provide, here we have no parameters, so simply you can call it like this. Okay. So without discussing all those things on slides, let me go to collab file and we will be doing all those things in hands-on mode. And if you can do this programming simultaneously, that will be great. So you can also write this code at your side on your device, whether you are using collab file or Jupyter or PyCharm, any editor you can use. So what we are going to write, that def we will be writing, then add num we will write, then if there is some parameter that we can write, otherwise simply we will leave that blank and then colon. Then in next line you will see that it will automatically provide some indentation. So it means whatever you are going to write, that will be for this function. Okay. Then for fnum, if you want to write like this, the same code I am just going to follow. Then int, then input, then in input you are going to write first number or enter first number. So like that we will be writing. Okay, then snum, that we can write for second number. So snum will be a variable, so you have to take care that are you getting all those lines of code that I am writing. If you have any query, confusion, then you may unmute and ask. Okay, then for this also we will write enter second number. So this is just to get the values for first number and second number from the user through keyboard. Okay, so that will be the, so int, then input. Okay, that bracketing we have to maintain. Okay, now it's okay. So then what we are going to do, in sum we will store fnum plus snum. So those two values will be added here and it will be stored in sum. Then we can use print function and we can write directly. So directly we can write that sum of the numbers is equal to, and then comma sum. So sum is that variable that you have used to store the addition, or we can say sum of those two numbers, fnum and snum. So this is the complete code. Now let me just run this code. Okay, so this one is the code for this add num function. Now we are going to call this. So what we have to write, add num, and then directly, because we don't have any parameter, so we have to leave it blank at the time of calling this function also. So here we are actually calling. This was implementation of the function, but now we are calling. I hope my screen is properly visible. Okay. So enter first number. For example, 10 we are going to enter. Then enter second number. For example, 20 I am going to enter. So you can see that sum of the numbers is 30. So sum of the numbers is 30. Now let me just change few things here, that what we can do next. Like if you want to provide few numbers already here, like fnum and snum you want to provide, okay, that you can do directly. Then you don't need to take this thing fnum snum, you don't need. Directly in sum, what you can do, sum of these numbers. But at the time of calling, you have to provide these numbers like 10 comma 20. Then in that case, you at the time of calling also you can provide these numbers, okay, because here you at the time of definition you have provided two parameters. So that you have to provide those values, you have to provide. So you can change like this. So this was the simplest example to tell you about the functions. So def keyword you are going to use for that. So why I have actually discussed this example, that in your program if you are getting any def function, it means it is a def keyword, it means you have a particular function there. So that you can analyze as a function. So or if you want to write a particular function, so like this you can design, but that will depend on the problem and scenario. But this was the simplest example, let me tell you. Now let me come to write a user defined function to calculate square and cube of a number given by user and display value of square and cube. Okay, so this you can do yourself, but for the time being I am just going to discuss built-in functions. So what are the built-in functions? It means these functions or the implementation of these functions is already have been defined in your Python interpreter, and you can directly use these functions like input or output functions, okay. Then input, print that we have used for printing, input we have used to take some values from keyboard. Then data type conversion, like if you want to convert something to int, so that we have used, like int is a function in this Python programming, float, dict for dictionary, chr for character, bool for boolean. And similarly we have different functions for data type conversion. In mathematical, for mathematical functions, like if you want to get the absolute value, so abs you can use, diff mode also, max min, so get maximum, minimum, power, sum. So all this we have as functions also. Some other functions are also there, like length, range and type. I think we have used in yesterday's session also. So these are actually built-in functions. But let me start with some examples, like abs of x. So this is the function syntax, that abs, then x you are writing. So x should be maybe an integer or floating point. So what it will return you actually, like if you are going to write abs 4, then it will return you 4. abs minus 5.7, it means absolute value. So it will actually give you the positive value of that value that you are going to provide as input, like 5.7 for minus 5.7. Similarly, let me go to another part, like if you have a list or tuple, okay, but you want to know that how many elements are there, so len of x you can use. So len of patience, so patience, if you have, first you have to create like this one is patience is string. So how many characters are there? PATIENCE. So total 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So this will return you the number of characters. Similarly, you can go for len of list 12 34 98. So it will return you 3. 3 means 3 elements are there actually in that list. So just let me go to our collab file, then I think it will be good to discuss all those things. So what we are going to do, that if you have created a string s1 and you are going to write like Python. So this is a string, like this we can create a string, as we have already discussed, that within double quotes if you are writing, then it will be treated as a string. So s1 is a string variable that is holding currently this string Python, okay. Now if you want to know the length of this string, then what you will do, len function you can use and you will write len of s1. So 6 means 6 characters are there in that string. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that's so simple. I think all of you are getting. There is no problem in that. If you have any confusion query, then please unmute yourself and please feel free to ask your queries. Then similarly, we can create a list like L. Okay, and in L, what we are going to store 10, comma 20, comma 30, comma 40. Okay, and so as we have already discussed that a list you can create if you are going to write like this within square bracket some elements. If you are going to write, this will be actually a list. Now if you want to get the length, that how many elements are there, so what will be the output? Can you write in chat box that for this len what will be the output? For this one, for length of L, what will be the output? That's so simple, but I am expecting few responses from your side, that are you getting these points properly? This is very simple question. So this is a list that we have created. So इस list में कितने elements हैं? Total 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you are going to use this len function, that is a built-in function in Python. So len of L if you are writing, so of course the output will be. So can you write in chat box? What will be the output of len of L? So Takshi 4. Okay, I am expecting few more responses from your side. That's a very simple question. Let me tell you that what we have done actually, let me tell you again, that we have created a list L in which we have 10, 20, 30, 40. So if you are going to use this len function for L, len of L, then what will be the output? So len actually provide you the number of elements in that list. So here we have 4. So of course that output will be 4. That's so simple. Okay. So similarly, let me take example for max or min also. Okay. So let me go to collab file. For example, if you have created this one, okay, and what you need to do, that you want to know that maximum value in this list. So that list L is 10, 20, 30, 40. These 4 elements we have. So if I am going to write like this, max in L. So what will be the output? Can you write in chat box? Komal Ishita 4. Okay, that was for previous question. Now just write in chat box that what will be the output for max of L. Max is a built-in function in Python that we have used for L, max of L. So what will be the output? Max of L. In L we have 10, 20, 30, 40. It means maximum value among the elements of this list it will return you. So let me just check. Ishita 40, Satakshi 40, Priyanshi 40, Ridhima 40. Great. So that was a very simple question, let me tell you. But just to check your engagement and you are getting your these points properly or not, I told you to write in chat box. So of course that value that you will get for max of L will be 40. Then similarly you can write min of L. Okay, so I'm not going to tell you to write in chat box, simply it is so simple question. So this will be minimum value 10. So these are actually built-in functions. So similarly we have other built-in functions also, and I will be sharing a list of built-in functions and how you can use them. So that complete details will be there in that PDF or list that I will be sharing with you. So through that you can practice, but at least once you have to practice with some values, then only you will have idea that how you can use those built-in functions whenever it will be required. Then easily you can recall and you can use those built-in functions. So this was the basic idea or overview of the functions that we can use, we can write in Python programming. Okay. So we have a set of questions for practice, so that I will be sharing with you. So you can try to write Python function to find maximum of three numbers, then sum of all the numbers in a list, and Python program to reverse a string. So all those things we will be discussing in the next sessions. But for practice, I will be sharing these questions. So you can try yourself first, then we will be discussing next. Okay. So that is from my side for today's session. Next, I would like to invite